Okay, some exciting stuff happening in MMA, and I think MMA is one of the sports that if you watch any other sport, you have to learn a lot from MMA because there's lots of training of different types of movements and things that, and there's so many strategies at play that they don't just copy a main team like the Golden State Warriors or something like this and try to emulate what you no, there's many different styles in UFC, and so that's what makes it really exciting is to see what works. So the things that I really love to look at are the history of who's on steroids and who's not, because when the UFC was created, there were already other fight organizations like Pride, and I'm taking from Ensign Inoue from the Joe Rogan podcast. You can see he talks about how in Japan, they put it on the contract that you could take steroids, no problem. So everybody was on them, or if not, I don't know why you wouldn't be. Must have been Vanderlei Silva, Mirko Cro Cop, all these guys, Fedor, all of them must have been. And if you follow them over the careers, you can see when their bodies change dramatically. I understand the difference between when you stop lifting and all that. I play basketball, so every season, if I play a ton of minutes, I lose musculature on a massive scale. I have to go to the gym very often to be able to try to stop my body from cannibalizing itself, which is what happens every season, basically. So, Alexander Gustafsson versus John Jones. This is the most exciting fight I can possibly think about. There are no two heavyweights that are just as highly skilled as these guys and have some movement still. These guys would be exciting if they fought heavyweight. Just put some fat on either one of these guys, let them gain 20 pounds of muscle, and man, they'd be incredible heavyweights too. These guys are tall enough to be able to fight at heavyweight, no issue. So there's something exciting about this one because it's not just about weight classes that make them, be interesting. They'd be interesting regardless. Now, Gustafsson, in my head, won the last fight. Now, I think you give the advantage to the champion because the champion needs to be beaten dramatically. In the UFC, if they're going to dethrone their champion, you really got to beat him. It's got to be obvious to the fans. It can't be a tie. If you have a tie or something close to it, the champion always wins. And it makes sense. They're trying to preserve some money there or whatever. They've already spent a lot on building up John Jones. So if you didn't beat him badly, now I did think he beat him. And now one of the judges did as well. Plus John Jones, terrible ambassador for the sport, terrible human being, right? What do you hit and run people, drug charges multiple times. The steroids ones, I don't really care so much about the drug, but I think he was doing drugs and driving. Hit somebody and then ran. Real champion stuff. He's brave in a ring, man, but he's a strange guy outside of the ring. I'll just say that. But I don't care. I don't need him to be nice. I don't need him to be cuddly and somebody to hang out with. That's kind of a strange thing that we want our heroes to be nice people too. But why? Why? I don't think it really suits the champion mentality. I don't want Conor McGregor to be fun with, to sit on the couch. Just care that he goes out there and does what he does that's interesting. So the things that are ridiculous here, this pictogram thing, they're talking about finding a pictogram in the system of John Jones still from 2 years later. Oh, first off, I don't believe it. I can't believe another dirty test. And then there's still some weird shit. Why is the Nevada State Commission even telling us about it? If it's so small that they're sure that it would still be fine. Then there's some weird stuff. Oh, it's around Christmas time, so we really can't get it done in time. What? How many millions of millions of dollars are going to be lost from sending the job now to California? How many people were ready to do this work? How many people were brought in for the weekend to do this extra work? Was there any of that? Maybe not. All the fighters flew in their families. That's not going to be reimbursed. These fighters get paid dog shit. That's why I play low-level basketball, because I watch how little the UFC gets paid. I swear I would have jumped over to the UFC if we would have seen you guys were even making money like sports like slam ball. Slam ball is basketball on trampolines. And it pays greater than what most UFC winners from the UFC Ultimate Fighter tournament pays $100,000 prize. It might have changed now, but for many of the years, it was $100,000 prize. They used to say it's a six-figure contract. It's a six-figure contract for 3 years. So the union members setting up your fight tournaments are making twice what a fighter is. An usher makes probably exactly what that $100,000 contract was worth. So the 9 other guys get shit nothing. No money, no sponsorship. You just get a little bit of fame out of the Ultimate Fighter. And hopefully it's positive fame, which I can't say it is for most people when they go on that show. I don't want to give Jon Jones another chance. I don't. I want to be on the side of DC because it was devastating when we waited for him to fight DC, and then it just, DC was ready, and it doesn't happen because Jon Jones was dirty. And did he really have to even use this stuff? Jon Jones is so good already that very few people have even tested him in the ring, and yet he still thinks he needs these advantages. I don't believe that they're just saying it's nothing, he's clean, but then the Nevada Commission cannot sanction it. There's many, many people saying that it's fishy. And of course it is. They've never done something like this in history. They allowed, now this is the thing, it's like USADA, also in charge of the Olympics, I believe, super dirty, the Olympics, and then also Brock Lesnar. They allowed Brock Lesnar to fight Mark Hunt even when he failed. I think it was Jon Jones also. I think it was his pre-fight piss test. Was it against Teixeira or somebody like this? Maybe it was DC. But anyway, he took a pre-fight piss test, piss dirty, and then they still allow you to fight. USADA does not stop the fights from happening. They're like, let the fight go, and we're not going to clear the guy's record. If the man loses after, you still take a loss. Even if we found out the other man was cheating, maybe the UFC will take a belt or something like that. But it doesn't happen. It's based on the USADA regulations. You never see Brock get a punishment from the UFC. They want him to fight. And I want Brock to fight too. I want there to be a juice league, which is what the UFC is basically proving to be right now. The UFC is the juice league because they don't have a real testing regimen. And now this testing regimen that they do have, everybody knows what the rules are, so they're able to they're able to microdose. You've got to watch guys like Victor Conti, and he may or may not even be a good source, but then there's videos like Bigger, Stronger, Faster, and Icarus on Netflix right now. Man, you watch those documentaries. Watch the guys from Japan, the Smashing Machine and all this stuff. They all let you know how the sport is. And so even Mark Hunt fought in Japan. I have a hard time believing he didn't take something too. Back then. It's not showing up now, I get it. But he has to fight guys like Brock Lesnar who are clearly still on the juice. He's never stopped taking it, ever. I don't think these fighters should be banned from the UFC. I think they should just either not fight for titles, or everybody should be aware. You can't enter the Hall of Fame unless we put a juice Hall of Fame, right? Because you got to put a juice Hall of Fame. All of the original starters of the UFC all used to fight in Japan, and they all used to have to try to clean up their blood or their piss for the UFC in the US. I mean, it's all of our best champions. I'm just trying to remember names without even proof of it, but I'm like, wasn't Verdum, obviously Vanderlei, Rampage. I mean, everybody that was in Japan, you can see when they were fighting in Japan, they had these physiques that made them look like wrestlers, and like the fake type of wrestler, like Brock Lesnar type. And then when they came back here and it wasn't going to be so loud, they tried to hide it a little bit. Doesn't mean they stopped. They just started to do it less, like Anderson Silva, for example. He never looked super big, but you follow guys like Alistair Overeem, and it's like, come on. Uberim, that's my hero, man. When he was 22, he was tall, skinny, had some muscle still. He was good on the ground, had some good striking, and he's fighting like Chuck Liddell in his 20s in Japan. You got to be a fan of the guy. Then he turns into Uberim, and this guy is massive. I mean, you can just imagine Alistair Overeem, when he was Uberim, must have been one of the scariest dudes to walk into. But Then right after they're off of the drugs, the bodies deflate massively. They're still probably cheating. They have to do something to not lose huge amounts of performance. But you could see the performance go down from all these men when they transition from Japan to the US with the more strict drug testing, that it's not like you can just be on them always and with no testing. So at least you're going to have to come off of them during the fight, or pre-fight, you're going to have to pass a test. So this changes how much people cheat. But I think it also changes it to cheat where it's like, now it's not obvious. Guys like John Jones, people didn't know he was a cheater until he failed for these small things. And still people are saying, well, we should just trust him. It probably was just a dirty supplement. He's got millions. He shouldn't be spending money on dirty supplements. His professionals around him should be getting him safe, tested products, or he just shouldn't even be supplementing anyway. I don't understand why fighters think they have to supplement. There's not a single supplement that is necessary for sports greatness. I don't think you need Gatorade. I don't think you need anything. You don't need protein shakes. Seriously, none of that stuff is really worth what it seems to ruin your possible career on if there's just a contamination at the factory. There's a contamination of 1 grain of salt of these things. That could ruin what? How many millions of batches of drug, of the legal stuff, and make it illegal for these guys. Now, like wrapping it up, the thing that's, I'm still so excited the John Jones fight and Gustafsson is going to go through. But look, man, Jones eye gouged the fuck out of people back in the day. He used to just stick his fingers out and just poke them straight in the eyes over and over and over again. And it really bothered Gustafsson. I hope he doesn't do this. He's not doing this type of shit today. They need to take the points away earlier. If those eye gouges, which were obviously intentional, would have been called correctly by the referee, it would have changed the outcome of the fight. John Jones would have been fighting from behind in points, clearly, and then he would have had to try to finish Gustafsson more, which he did try. He hit Gustafsson with some hard shots. I was surprised Gustafsson stayed conscious through some of those. I think he took a spinning elbow that was just looked pretty scary. But like I said, Gustafsson did some amazing things too. Took John Jones down. He put on a fight, and Gustafsson has nowhere near the strength, it seems, or the explosiveness, I think, of Jones. But again, that's a dirty, shouldn't we put an asterisk next to that? Shouldn't Gustafsson get the credit of being the winner of the last fight because Jones has been now dirty his whole career? He didn't get caught for that specific fight. But come on, this is now what, the third test? Third main event almost stopped? I don't want to keep like waiting for this guy to fight, and then when it comes time for him to fight, nah. Because what about for Gustafsson? What about for DC? If what if Gustafsson had no fight for this one, and he loses all the money he would have got? That's one great thing, man. Hey, good job for you, Gustafsson. I'm sure this is a huge payday again. Man, I want you to win this one. If you win this one, we have a great three-peat set up to beat him again. Hopefully juice-free, but beat him on the juice, man. It's going to feel so rewarding because he robbed it from you last time with the eye pokes and a decision, a judge's decision, which, man, kudos to you, dude. You went the distance, 5 rounds. You got to be the toughest Swede I've heard of. I don't fuck the Vikings, the guys we watch on TV. I mean, the shows, because the shows are nothing like what this guy brings to the table. The Mauler, I'm a fan. But, you're one of the, thank you for being a Swede that's not soft. I can't stand soft white people. I really don't understand that whole, let's apologize for everything. And, because we're such terrible people, just nope, be yourself. Gustafsson, get this win. This will be awesome. If you win this one, holy crap. And you really deserve the title. And I hope it's a long reign of the Swedish king at the top. But we'll see. There's a lot of killers in that division. But yeah, Gustafsson might stay at the top for a while. But good luck, man. You got to go through John Jones first. Not easy. A dirty Jones.